Good afternoon, everyone. As you just heard, my name is Patricia, and like most of you here, I grew up with bedtime stories. My grandmother was the most patient wordsmith, telling her impatient granddaughter stories every single night. Out of all of those stories, my favorite one was the story about Scheherazade. Scheherazade is the framing character of 1001 Nights and also the hero of it. The framing story tells the tale of King Shahryar, who, after discovering that his wife had been unfaithful, orders her to be executed, and, as revenge, decides to keep marrying and killing women, because in his eyes, the mistake of one woman was the sin of all of them. Enter Scheherazade, our heroine. She was the vizier's eldest daughter and could not stand the femicide happening in her homeland. So, to stop the murders, she decides to marry the king herself. During their wedding night, she asked for her younger sister to be brought into their chambers in order to say goodbye. The sister asked Scheherazade to tell her a story as a last goodbye. And the rest is history. For Scheherazade, storytelling served as a means for survival. Each story told for 1001 nights saved her life, because the king, desperate to know how the story would end, would not kill her. Storytelling saved her life. But now, storytelling needs saving. From the moment we are born, storytelling is with us. As children, we play with dolls and other toys, making up rather silly scenarios. I'm sure that more than a few of you spent your nights in summer camps giggling away and telling horror stories and playing shadow puppets. Even after school, we were rushing to eat our lunch because we were hoping to see our favorite cartoon show or a soap opera. Storytelling has always been a part of a ritual, and you can still see the specific time for storytelling during Mass or any other religious event. Yet, in today's culture of instant gratification, it is practically impossible to find a time during the day to be still and patient and listen to a story. I am delighted that this TEDx event is addressing the issue. Of course, I could continue telling the story about the end of storytelling myself, but I am well aware that the persuasive power of storytelling is losing its effect. So, let us do what our culture likes best. Let's look at the numbers. So, according to the 2022 Eurostat reports, 47% of EU citizens did not read any books for the past 2 years. To make matters worse, the United Kingdom's 2025 annual literacy survey showed that the number of teenagers who read books in their spare time dropped by half, from 38% to a measly 18%. The situation across the pond is not much better. According to a study done by researchers from the University of Florida and University College London, the number of Americans who read during their spare time dropped by 40% during the years 2003 and 2023. The current situation of storytelling is very similar to a Jenga tower at the end of the game. We're at the moment where your overly confident playmate is trying to pull one of the foundational blocks, which in this allegory stands for the worldwide pattern of defunding the humanities, and thinks that this will not make the tower collapse. It is a bit strange that a world obsessed with innovation and self-improvement uses not fiction, but social media and generative AI for inspiration. If you truly want to think outside of the box, you have to pull up a poem. Where else will you find a description of grief as a big fish or time as a beggar? Fiction does not imitate our lives. It shows us the parts we don't notice or seem to forget. I am a firm believer that you will learn more about yourself reading a novel rather than a self-help book. After all, a novel makes you live through its narratives and plot twists, while a self-help book can only suggest you a different way of starting your day. Even with the rise of doom scrolling and the decrease of reading rates, I still believe we can find time for storytelling. And don't worry, you don't have to become the great novelist or poet. All great deeds start small. When was the last time you wrote a poem or a short story? If you don't remember, this is a sure sign that you need to do it soon. And of course, it might be a bit uncomfortable in the beginning, especially if the last poem you read was by Maironis or Shakespeare. But remember, not all poems start with "Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary." And not all stories are about an invincible hero who saves the world. In fact, all of these stories are already included in our literary tradition. And just like Scheherazade, if we want to move forward, we need to write something new. Even if you don't enjoy the traditional modes of storytelling, try telling a new joke to a friend. Pour your heart out in a birthday card. Write a fan fiction. Participate in a TEDx event, or just do something that would keep the magic of storytelling alive. The state of storytelling will not change in a day, but it just might if we start sharing our stories for 1,001 days. Thank you.